Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden sitting in the Orvis parking lot in Manchester, Vermont, about to run up Mount Equinox right there. It's one of the highest mountains in southern Vermont. The vertical gain from this parking lot to the summit of the mountain is over 3,000 feet in around 3 miles. So it's about 1,000 feet per mile of gain. It's super steep. And the reason that I'm doing it today, part of my workout plan is Tuesday, I do intervals on the track, speed work. Thursday, I do some serious hardcore uphill challenges like Mount Equinox. And then on the weekends, I do a longer run with a race incorporated, like a tempo run, where I'll do like a 3-mile warm-up, do a 3 to 6 mile race, then do a 3-mile warm down. So I'm getting anywhere from 9 to 12 miles with a race in the middle, which is basically my old training plan. But I'm approaching it very differently mentally. People have been asking me, why are you hurting yourself? Why are you punishing yourself? Why are you doing these really challenging, hurtful things where you have to use loving kindness and this gentle, self-compassionate voice to get yourself to do that? Isn't that too much? Aren't you pushing too far, too hard? Why are you doing this? What's the point? Well, human beings are mechanisms of resistance. We only grow through challenge. We don't grow from sitting still. We don't grow from being static. Actually, we do the opposite. We atrophy. We get mentally weaker, we get physically weaker, and we get spiritually weaker when we don't challenge ourselves. But it's not a challenge that's going to break you. It's not about punishing yourself or breaking yourself or trying to crush the ego or shatter the ego. That's not what this is. It's simply stretching the envelope. Finding out what the edge of your comfort zone is and then bumping up against it so that that comfort zone starts to stretch and stretch and stretch. And then you become more and more comfortable with discomfort. Comfort actually means with strength. Calm means with. Fort or fortis means strength. So being comfortable does not mean that you're laying in bed on a soft mattress with a 600 thread sheet on top of you and somewhere in the tropics with somebody massaging you. That's not comfort. That's very different. Comfort is the ability to feel at ease in the midst of distress. That's actually what comfort means. Challenging environment, that's okay. I'm fine with it. I have strength in the midst of this challenge. So your comfort zone is essentially the zone within which you feel strong. So what I want to do, and the point of these workouts, is to grow that zone so I feel strong in more and more situations. So regardless of what life throws at me, there is a greater likelihood that I will be able to meet that challenge because my comfort zone will have grown. So when I look at that mountain right there, it's huge and it's steep. And I'll show you some video of what it looks like rising up above Manchester. If I think about the pain to come, I'm going to get scared and I'm going to want to avoid the workout. But that thought of pain is arbitrary and it's not true. I don't know what I'm going to experience on that mountain yet. I can create a story of pain in my head, in my mind, in my visceral experience. I can imagine what that pain is going to be like, but that's just imagination. And it's also an arbitrary point of focus. Why am I focused only on the pain? I'm saying that the future that is right in front of me is more important than all the other possible futures at different points along the way. One of the futures is that I've got to start running up Vermont Route 7 or US Route 7 up to the Equinox Inn, and that's where I catch the trail. And I'm running past some of the biggest, most beautiful homes in the United States from the 17 and 1800s. The Equinox Inn is a gigantic monster of Victorian architecture. It is huge beyond belief, but it's from the 1800s. It's this giant old wooden hotel with probably like 500 rooms. It's really neat with the mountain rising up right behind it. So that's my future coming up. I get out of the car and that's my first experience. So why is the pain of running up the mountain the only future that I focus on? Why can't I also focus on the future in the beginning? Or how about the future that takes place when I'm now standing on top of the mountain, probably an hour from now, and I'm done. I did it. It's in the bank. Holy cow, did I stretch myself? Did I increase my comfort zone? I'm done. It's over. That's another future. Or how about the races that are to come in September and October, where I now can take advantage of this increased comfort zone, this increased strength, and this increased ability to handle challenge? That's in the future as well. And that's a really positive future. So when I approach this workout, part of me is like, ooh, it's going to hurt, I'm scared. And then it's like, wait a minute, that's only one future. How about if we focus on being done? How about if we focus on the benefit, the advantages of this? How about if we focus on the beautiful run through Manchester that we're going to have before we even start the trail? How about that? Each one of those is as valid and as legitimate as focusing on the pain. So why not choose to focus on one that's exciting? So that's what I'm doing now. I can sit here and I can be afraid of the workout and want to avoid it, or I can say, wow, this is it. This gets me the future that I want. This allows me to accomplish things in my future that I can't even imagine yet. But because I'm doing this today, I will grow. And that growth will open doors for me that I don't even know are there yet. So this is exciting. This is the beginning. And this day, this moment, will soon be a part of my past. And it'll be a part of my past that I'm going to be really, really grateful that I engaged in. So that's how I begin my run today. All right? See you in a minute on the mountain. So I just did a good 15-minute warm-up from the car to the Red Gate trailhead right here. Climbed about 240 feet in my warm-up, so it's a hard effort just in a warm-up. But now the real workout begins. I've got 2,800 feet of climbing to go, now in about 2.5 miles. And the goal of the workout today is to do a minute 30-second bursts, 10 of them as I climb the mountain. So I'm going to do a minute 30 hard effort uphill, then I'm going to back off for 2 minutes and 30 seconds still climbing, and then a minute 30, back off for 2:30, a minute 30 hard, back off, and I'm going to do that 10 times. And then when I'm done with those 10 hard efforts uphill, I'm just going to keep continuing to the summit and then come back down. So it's going to be a total of about 7 miles with a little over 3,000 feet of gain. I've got an application on my iPhone called Ultra Timer, and I've got it programmed with these repeats. So I have my Bluetooth headset, so it's going to tell me when to run hard, when to back off, and it's going to keep me engaged so I don't have to be looking at my watch. I can look out and soak up the world that I'm moving through, and it'll keep me posted. All right, here we go. See you in a bit. I stopped after 7. I'm not going to do the repeats to the summit. I got about half a mile to go to the summit, and the recovery is so hard because you're still running up a 20% plus slope while you're recovering. So as I got to 5, the sprint became so much harder and the recoveries became so much harder, and they started to mirror each other. And by the time I just finished number 7, I could barely increase my speed over the recovery. So that was a sign to me that my body is at the limit. So I'm going to run the final half mile, which is still pretty steep. And what a crazy workout. This is probably one of the hardest workouts that I've ever done, but it's also been one of the most exhilarating that I've ever done. This has been a transformative experience. I know that I've been talking a lot about mindfulness and presence and embracing your suffering, being gentle with it, being compassionate to the parts of you that are experiencing that pain, separating your medial prefrontal cortex from your dorsal anterior cingulate cortex so that you can observe the pain but not be immersed in it, so that you can describe the emotions but not be stuck in their midst.
so that you can function outside of that experience and just notice it and nurture it as it happens. And holy cow, did I just have the experience of a lifetime. Even though my body is now nearing failure, with a little bit left to go, that was profound. Running up this mountain at any speed is brutal. And to try to increase the pace and sprint for 1.5 minutes at a time, I had to really bring myself to another place. And what I chose to do was to get excited and embrace what I talked about earlier in the car. Embrace the knowledge of what this is going to bring. Embrace the growth that this is going to bring, and be present to that. Be present to the growth in my future. Even though it hasn't happened yet, the fact that I'm taking those steps means that it has happened in the future already. I'm guaranteeing that that future exists by taking these steps, so therefore I can celebrate it. So I smiled and I breathed in and I put my shoulders back and I had this victory pose. I was running out, my head back, exalted, smiling, taking it in. And for the first time in years, I'm listening to music. I'm listening to U2's latest album because I wanted to forget about the watch. I wanted to forget about the time. I wanted to forget about my thoughts and just be in a movie. Be like watching a movie. This is the soundtrack of the movie. And here's the athlete out there busting their butt and you're cheering them on because you know that this sequence where they're, the montage where they're doing the hard training and in the beautiful scenery and the music is going and it's inspiring, you know they're going to win because of that. So I did that, and I was the observer watching this guy run up the mountain with this music inspiring me and exciting me. And I don't recommend that all the time, only on the days that are profoundly challenging. But what an incredible experience that was for me. And even though my breathing and my legs and my lungs and every part of my body was just like to the limit of pain, it didn't hurt. I loved it. And I'm only stopping now because I just couldn't go any faster. My body had reached its limit. But prior to that happening, I transcended the limit of pain that I was experiencing emotionally. And I'm on top of the world. That was not a sufferfest at all. That was a beautiful experience. And I am so grateful that I chose to take that on, that I allowed myself to have that positive experience rather than framing it as intense and horrible and suffering and something I have to do and something I hate and something that I can't wait till it's over. No, I allowed myself to really be present to the beautiful birch trees that are starting to change color high up here on the mountain, and be present to the breeze, be present to my body, be present to the feeling as I move powerfully and I launched from rock to rock going uphill. What a gift this is. So I'm really pumped for where my performance is going to go from here, but I'm also really pumped at exploring this further. And oh, the timer is still on. That's what that noise is. I didn't turn the timer off. So you can hear it cheering and telling me to go, go, you got a couple more to go. Anyway, I'm just pumped to keep exploring this and to share it with you, and I hope that you try this. This is not me boasting, and it's not me showing off. This is me trying to do something in my life that I haven't been able to do before in a very different way, and facing the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to show up, but I do know that if I can take on the challenges with a smile and with a positive approach rather than an avoid or a suspicion, if I can approach them with open arms and be gentle and compassionate, regardless of how intense the experience is, I know great things are coming. And I invite you to step into this path as well and see what shows up for you. Okay, now that I'm rested, I'm gonna haul. In fact, I might do some more of these intervals now, hauling up to the finish, and I'll show you. Hopefully we have a little bit of a view. It's been raining today, so I don't know how much you'll see from the summit, but if there's a view, I'm gonna show you. It's cold up here too. It's a lot colder than down at the base. See you in a bit. I made it. I ended up doing 9 total repeats after I made the earlier recording. I did 2 more, and that got me almost here to the summit. So I'm super pumped. What an awesome workout. And now I'm enjoying this beautiful view. Adirondacks in New York, the Green Mountains of Vermont, and just spectacular and cold up here. Feels like it's in the low 40s. And I gotta run down the mountain like a bat out of hell because I've got a coaching call in 45 minutes. I'll see you soon. I love you guys. Ah, how I love Vermont. This is my home. And I just finished my first real speedwork session in probably 2.5 years. It's 90 degrees and probably 90% humidity. It is brutally hot today.